a military instructor for the Imperial Guard, 80,000 men under his charge, was supposed to live quietly in the capital, teaching soldiers, going home to his wife, an ordinary life. But Gao the Younger wanted his wife. Step by step, they drove him toward death. Framed, exiled, the hay barn set on fire, blood on his hands. And there in the mountain spirit temple, in wind and snow, he finally killed Lu the bureaucrat, looked up at the sky, and sighed. After that, Liangshan was the only road left. Tell me, was he born to be a bandit? No. The world got there first. It turned him into one. Good evening. This is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we're reading Water Margin. Some editions call it Outlaws of the Marsh. If you're already lying down, that's perfect. Turn the lamp down a little. Put your phone somewhere you can't quite reach. Pull the blanket up. You've probably heard of this book, 108 bold souls gathered at Liangshan Marsh, drinking from big bowls, eating great chunks of meat. It sounds thrilling. But the book is long, fierce, and crowded with people like a pot of water at a rolling boil. Don't worry. Tonight you don't have to remember a thing. We'll go slowly, and I'll hand you a few scenes that feel strong in the dark, and a little heavy too. Let's set a small rule first. No need to memorize 108 names. No need to track every battle. And honestly, no notes. Just follow my voice. What you'll carry away are a few things you won't forget: what people mean by driven to Liangshan, what brotherhood feels like in this book, and how that final call for amnesty sent the 108, one by one, toward the grave. Fall asleep halfway? That's fine. You don't have to remember everything. A few images is enough. The book has 120 chapters. We can't walk through them one by one tonight. It's like flipping a book before sleep. You don't have to chew from page 1 to the last page. Pick the chapters that touch you, hear the shape of the story, and you'll remember more than you think. With Water Margin, remember Lin Chang's snow, Wusong's tiger, Lu Zhishen and the tide. Then remember those 4 characters hanging in the Hall of Gathering, and that last cup of poison wine. Hold those, and you've got the book's main pulse in your hand. That question from a moment ago, don't rush to answer. Lin Chong was a decent man. How did he become the leopard head? Treat that question like a thin thread and lay it beside your pillow. Near the end, we'll come back and untie it. For tonight, just remember this: Water Margin is often not about heroes who were born to rebel. It's about people who couldn't stay alive unless they did. Last time we read Dream of the Red Chamber, Tears Behind Deep Walls, Girls in a Great House, Splendor Like a Dream You Can't Wake From and Can't Hold. Tonight's book runs the other way. Out on rivers and lakes, 108 men with fists and wine, people pushed step by step to the edge by the system, by power, by injustice, gathering at Liangshan Marsh, and then, under the banner of acting for heaven, playing out scene after scene that burns hot and turns cold. From the Grandview Garden to Liangshan Marsh, we're changing rivers tonight. The walk will be harder. And heavier. Some people read Red Chamber and Water Margin side by side. One is feeling behind closed doors, one is loyalty out in the world. One ends in scattering, one ends in gathering, and then in scattering again. One closes in great snow, one closes in poison wine. You don't have to pick which book is better. Just feel this: in Chinese fiction, 2 extreme answers to how a person lives are both here. Tonight, let's listen to the wind on Liangshan. Leave the snow in the garden for another night. So let's get to know the book. Water Margin is generally said to be by Shi Naian of the late Yuan and early Ming, though some say Luo Guanzhong had a hand in it, or both of them. Who exactly wrote which line, scholars still argue, and you don't need to settle that for them. What we know is that it circulated around the same time as Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and among the 4 great classical novels, it's the wildest one. It doesn't chase emperors and generals through palace intrigue. It follows peddlers, wanderers, outlaws, ordinary lives on the margins. There are many versions, 100 chapters, 120 details shift. You don't need to pick an edition tonight. We'll follow the most familiar storyline, and go slowly. One thing worth saying plainly, most of the 108 at Liangshan are literary figures Shi Naian gathered from old storytelling and stage plays, then shaped into something new. You can't match them one for one with real history. There were historical records of Song Jiang and his band, yes, but that's another story, not the same people as Lin Chong or Wu Song in these pages. Listen to it as a novel that tries to show you the heart of an age. That will serve you better than treating it as a chronicle. The book doesn't open on Liangshan right away. It begins with a man called Marshal Hong, sent by the court to Dragon and Tiger Mountain, where he breaks the seal on a well and releases the demon lords locked inside, really the 36 stars of heaven and 72 stars of earth, 108 demon stars scattered into the human world. The opening feels like myth, a frame later Hans added. Maybe it never happened that way. But it points straight at the theme. In this book, these 108 are demon stars come down to earth, meaning, from the first, they don't belong to the world's idea of the proper road. Remember those 2 words, demon stars. It doesn't mean they're all villains. It means, in a world that ranks people high and low, where those above can crush those below at will, the crushed ones who find one another look, to educated eyes, like demons blocking the right path. Stand on the crushed side, though, and they're the only place left to breathe, the only place left to hold together. That twist is the book's foundation. To understand water margin, you need 4 words first, driven to Liangshan. The Outlaws don't coin that phrase themselves. Later readers summed the book up that way. It means, they didn't want to live as bandits. They were framed, bullied, cornered, until Liangshan was the only road left. Lin Chong is like that. Wu Song is like that. So are many others. There is one exception worth naming, Zhishen, the flowery monk. He already had a fighter's heart. He stood up for friends, killed the butcher's at the west gate of the town, raised hell at Peach Blossom Village. He truly couldn't watch people get pushed around. Even so, he ends up at Liangshan too. In that world, trying to do the right thing with your fists often buys you no peace. Zhishen's story, taken alone, is a little knight's tale. In Weizhou he served as a petty officer. When he heard Jin Suilian was being tormented by the butcher Jin, he sent father and daughter away first, then went to Jin's shop and killed him with 3 punches and ran. At Mount Wutai he took the tonsure, but he couldn't keep temple rules. He drank, he hit people, and they sent him on to the great Shangwa temple in the capital. In the temple vegetable garden stood a weeping willow. Local toughs tried to make a fool of him. He uprooted the whole tree, strength so raw it frightens you. That scene isn't about robbery. It's about a man who couldn't swallow one more insult. Zhishen has more. On Peach Blossom Mountain he saved old Lu's daughter and beat little overlord Zhoutong black and blue. In Wild Boar Forest he saved Lin Chong, opened the escort guards with his monk's staff, and walked him all the way toward exile. When he kills, it's mostly for the weak, for loyalty. He became a monk, yet he hates false rules most of all. Later, campaigning against Fan La, he sits in Liuha Temple and hears the tide on the Qintang River. Suddenly he understands. He dies seated, enlightened. The book gives him a line, "Today at last I know I am I." In plain words, today, at last, I know who I am. From 3 punches at the west gate to listening to the tide, Zhishen's line is one of the few in water margin that runs whole from heat to cool, from noise to stillness. Let's go deeper on Driven to Liangshan, starting with Lin Chong. Lin Chong, the leopard head, was instructor to the capital's 80,000-man imperial guard. Skilled, employed, married. by rights, a man who had made it. His bad luck was simple: Gao the Younger wanted his wife. Who is Gao the Younger? The adopted son of Gao Qiu, a powerful minister. And Gao Qiu, the book paints him clearly, rose by football and flattery, kicking his way into the post of Grand Marshal over the military. A man who climbed on ball skills now runs the empire's officer corps. Tell me, could that system be clean? Gao the Younger harassed Lin Chang's wife. Lin Chong endured. Gao Qiu set a trap. Lin Chong carried a sword into the White Tiger Hall and was sentenced for treason, exiled to Cangzhou. On the road, the guards Dong Chao and Shueba, bought by Lu the bureaucrat, meant to finish him in Wild Boar Forest. Lu Zhishen saved him one blow of the staff, and Lin Chong lived. In Cangzhou, Lu still wasn't finished. They burned the hay barn to kill Lin Chong inside. In the mountain spirit temple, in wind and snow, Lin Chong heard them talking outside and understood at last: step back, and the world doesn't open wide. It closes tighter, until you're dead. That night he took up the blade and killed. Snow on his shoulders. When he looked back toward the capital, there was no going home. Liangshan was all that remained. Look at every step, you could call it endurance. Enduring Gao the Younger's harassment. Enduring the frame-up. Enduring exile. Enduring the fire. He didn't endure because he was weak. He endured because he still wanted a normal life, work, a wife, something to hope for. The world wouldn't give him that. That's where water margin cuts deepest. Not in how fine the fights look. In how a man who only wanted to live quietly gets pushed, bit by bit, until they call him a thief. The snowy night at the Mountain Spirit Temple is one of the coldest images in the whole book. Heavy snow collapsed the hay storehouse. Lu and the others thought Lin Chong had burned to death. Outside the temple they talked, pleased with themselves. Inside, Lin Chong heard every word. In that moment, all his enduring turned into something he could no longer endure. He walked out with the blade. 3 men. All dead. And the snow kept falling. He wasn't born loving blood. Snow, fire, and their laughter drove the blade into his hand. Centuries later, readers still can't forget, not because of the gore, but because of that light in a person's eyes when there's nowhere left to step back. When it goes out. Now Wu Song. Wu Song isn't like Lin Chong at first. He wasn't an officer in the capital guard. He was chief constable in Xinghe County. He had a future too. You've probably heard about the tiger on Jingyang Ridge. Drunk, barehanded, he killed a great striped tiger with white forehead and round eyes, and became the hero of Yanggu County. But what good is being a hero? His elder brother Wu Dalong was murdered by Pan Jinlian and Shi Naian. Wu Song went to the magistrate. The magistrate took a bribe and looked away. So Wu Song gathered proof himself, killed Shi Naian and Pan Jinlian in the street, then walked to the yamen and surrendered. Exiled to Mengzhou. In Mengzhou, Jiang the prefect framed him. He nearly died at Flying Cloud Ferry. He broke his chains, blood at Twin Phoenix's tower, killed his enemies, and became a fugitive, and in time, he too climbed Liangshan. Wu Song's fists are hard. His spine is hard. What he can't bear is injustice. When there's no court that will hear you, he takes justice with his own hands. The book gives him the bearing of a god. It also gives him the darkness of night walk on Centipede Ridge. He wasn't born a brute. He was a man pushed into a corner by wrong, using his fists to snatch fairness back. Why do people still love the tiger fight after all these years? Because that battle is about human limits, wine, tiger, life, all in one place, and what you choose. But after the tiger, Wu Song didn't get a good life. The more capable you are, the more famous, the deeper the nets around you grow. Water margin wants you to see, in a rotten system, one person, however strong, can't punch through the whole web. On Jingyang Ridge, the inn sign said 3 bowls and you don't cross the ridge. Wu Song drank 18. The keeper couldn't stop him. He said, "You worry about your wine, I worry about my tiger." That reckless streak is Wu Song's color. But color couldn't save his brother. Wu Dalong was small in stature. Pan Jinlian and Shi Naian killed him. When Wu Song came home, he stood before the morning hall and asked his sister-in-law 3 questions, and the truth came out. He didn't pray to gods. He didn't wait for a clean sky. He gathered proof and settled accounts in the street. Then he surrendered himself at the yamen. He respected the law. The law didn't respect him. One step, and the tiger slayer became a killer. Hero and criminal, in one book, are often separated by a sheet of paper. That paper is called "Someone Above Has Your Number." How did 108 gather at Liangshan? First, where is Liangshan Marsh? In Shandong, a lake district easy to defend and hard to attack. Even when the court sent troops, they got headaches. The first man on the mountain was Wang Luan, narrow-hearted, couldn't bear rivals. When Lin Chong came, Wang Luan wouldn't take him in. Then Chao Gai, Wu Yong, Gongsun Shang, Lu Tang, and the 3 Yuan brothers came up from the smart robbery of the birthday gifts with stolen treasure, forced the issue, and Lin Chong killed Wang Luan in a fire merge. Only then did Liangshan have the bones of true gathering. Chao Gai was the first big brother, bold, loyal, called the pagoda-bearing heavenly king. Wu Yong was the strategist, the resourceful star, the one who planned. Gongsun Shang knew Taoist arts, mysterious, the book's occult thread. Later Chao Gai died from an arrow wound assaulting Zengta city. Song Jiang became chief of the stronghold. That change of leadership is one of the book's biggest turns, we'll come back to it. While Chao Gai lived, Liangshan was gathering for its own sake, people leaning on one another. After Chao Gai died, under Song Jiang, Liangshan slowly turned toward amnesty, the goal shifted from living free to going back. Wu Yong sat in the middle like a thread. He was there for the birthday gifts. He was there when Lu Junyi was tricked up the mountain. He was there in the strategy for surrender. The strategist doesn't always hold the blade, but often he points where the blade falls. When you read Water Margin, don't only remember spears and sabers. Remember the mouth and the brush behind the Hall of Gathering, quietly changing direction. The liveliest caper in the book is the smart robbery of the birthday gifts. Liang Zhongshu in Daming Prefecture sent his father-in-law Kai Jing a birthday shipment, the birthday gifts, a load of treasure worth 100,000 strings of cash, escorted by Yang Ji. Yang Ji was driven to Liangshan too. He came from the Yang clan of generals. He lost his post over the Flower and Stone convoy and wandered. He finally got an assignment, and Chao Gai's band drugged the escort with knockout wine and took everything. Yang Ji's life is bitter, a little like Lin Chang's. Both wanted the straight road. Both couldn't walk it. When the gifts vanished, he didn't dare go back. He went to the hills. In Water Margin, many good fellows didn't wake up wanting to be bandits. A mission lost. A case lost. A home destroyed. Step by step, they backed up to Liangshan. The birthday gift scene shows another face of official pressure turning people against the state, not always a knife at your throat. Sometimes the system simply leaves you no place to stand. The core of that robbery was Chao Gai's 7, including 3 brothers, Ruan II, Ruan V, and Ruan VII, the Ruan trio. They were fishermen at Shiji village, poor as empty pockets, with real skill on the water. Chao Gai said, "We 7 have courage, loyalty, and wit," and they drugged Yang Ji's escort and carried the treasure away. The Ruan brothers later joined Liangshan and became backbone of river fighting. Liangshan is a water fort. War there needs boats, needs people who grew up in the water. You don't need their names. Remember water courage, what the officials couldn't protect, the poorest took with their lives. Once they were on the mountain, how did they live? There's a phrase, acting for heaven. In the hall of gathering hung those 4 characters. Meaning, the court is corrupt, heaven isn't fixing it, we'll walk the way ourselves. It sounds grand. Think twice, though, who decides what the way is? Song Jiang. 108 men, ranked in order, rules for drinking, orders for battle. This isn't a democracy. It's a little court on a mountain, an emperor, Song Jiang, a prime minister, Wu Yon, generals, clerks. What you hear most in the hall is the clink of big bowls. Li Kui drinks. Lu Zhishen drinks. The Ruan brothers drink. After victory, they drink. After loss, they drink for the dead. Wine isn't decoration. It's proof, we're one crew. Wine also ruins things. Song Jiang sometimes uses it to pull hearts in, sometimes to stiffen courage. Drunk, Li Kui nearly wrecked plans. Wine in water margin isn't wine in red chamber. There it's poetry and small cups in a garden. Here it's sea bowls on a mountain. One soft. One hard. One scattered among flowers. One gathered on a peak. Because of that, Liangshan has a special kind of loyalty. Li Kui toward Song Jiang is almost childlike devotion. If Song Jiang told him to die, he'd drink the cup. Lu Zhishen and Lin Chong, brotherhood sealed in wild boar forest, a lifetime bond. Wu Song, Zhang Cheng, Sun Ernyang, ties forged on the road mean more than blood. That warmth, in a cold age, reads like fire. That same heat later burns, because Song Jiang tied loyalty and amnesty together. How were the 108 ranked? There's the stone tablet receiving the heavenly script, names and star titles carved, 36 heaven stars, 72 earth stars, matching the demon stars at the opening. Song Jiang first. Lu Junyi second. Wu Yong third. Gongsun Sheng fourth, down to Duan Jingzhu. The order isn't only martial skill. Politics, balance, what Song Jiang needed quiet. Lu Junyi, the jade unicorn of Daming, was designed up the mountain by Wu Yong's schemes, made second in command. He was a rich man with home and name, also driven up by trickery, not only by enemies. Lu Junyi's story is another way of writing driven to Liangshan. Not a personal enemy framing you, brothers laying plans, tangling your name, your house, your clean record, until you have no road but the mountain. Jade Unicorn, the name sounds like a man meant for peace. He became deputy chief of Outlaws. Water margin is telling you, sometimes what pushes you isn't only a wicked official. Sometimes it's the layout of brothers, to gather men, to fix ranks, to prepare for that paper of amnesty later. Tricks and traps. That part sits heavier in the chest than Lin Chang's snow. You don't need all 108. A handful is enough. Besides Song Jiang, Lin Chong, Wu Song, and Lu Zhishen, Black Whirlwind Li Kui, rough, filial, killing without blinking, yet toward Song Jiang like a child toward a father. Wanderer Yin Sheng, clever, skilled in many arts, who saw through it all and walked away alone. Flower Rome the archer. Shurchen the thief, petty theft, yet the mountain couldn't do without him. Every kind of talent had a seat in the hall. One passage is especially quiet at night. Song Jiang drank at Xuanyang Tower, drunk, and wrote a rebellious poem. My heart is in Shandong while my body is in Wu, drifting like tumbleweed on rivers and seas. If someday I fulfill my soaring ambition, I'll dare laugh that Huang Chao wasn't man enough. Huang Chao led a Tang dynasty uprising, a rebel who shook the throne. Song Jiang compared himself to that man. So early, he already had soaring ambition, not to be a thief forever, but to rise, to climb. That ambition, in the end, led to amnesty, to the campaign against Fang La, to poison wine. Bold words. A bitter road. That's what makes Song Jiang the most sigh-worthy figure in the book. Water margin stays readable because its bad officials feel alive. Dao Chou, Kai Jing, Tong Guan, in the book they're shorthand for treacherous ministers. Gao Qiu destroyed Lin Chong. Kai Jing held the prime ministership. Tong Guan, a eunuch leading armies, they ran the court, sold offices, blocked good men, lifted bad ones. Unlike the Jia family's fall in Red Chamber, water margin isn't one household rising and sinking. It's the whole court rotting. How rotten? Rotten enough that a man like Yang Ji, escorting birthday treasure, couldn't keep his own team together. Rotten enough that a tiger slayer like Wu Song couldn't get a hearing in court. So acting for heaven felt satisfying at first. You watched the Outlaws, 3 assaults on the Zhu family village, the fight at Zhengta City, raiding the execution ground to save brothers, and it hits clean. The 3 Zhu village battles were against local strongmen in league with officials, bullying Liangshan's kin Zhu, Hu, and Li villages in alliance. 3 tries to take them, with ambushes, betrayals, inside help written like chess. At Zhengta City, Chao Gai took an arrow and died, a wound Liangshan never stopped feeling. Readers enjoy the fights. Look closer, though, behind each one, the grudge between official and commoner knots tighter. The further you read, the more cool air you taste. Liangshan could win battles, kill officers, yet what it couldn't change was this: in Song Jiang's heart, amnesty still glowed. That brings us to Song Jiang himself. Song Jiang, clerk in Yunqing, small official, generous, known as Timely Rain, who had trouble, he gave silver an effort. He lived inside the system, knew documents, knew how to talk up and down, built goodwill on the character. When Chao Gai robbed the birthday gifts and the law came hunting, Song Jiang secretly warned him and let him escape, one act of loyalty that dropped him into endless trouble. Yen Poxi held that letter over him. Song Jiang killed her in anger and ran. See? Song Jiang wasn't born rebellious. He helped a brother and lost his future. A net closed over him. Liangshan was where the net led. As chief, he wasn't the strongest fighter. He was the best at holding people together. 108 tempers. Song Jiang sat on the first seat with Ian with favors saved over years. But Song Jiang wasn't Chao Gai. Chao Gai's line was, "We do our business, let the court not provoke us." Song Jiang's line was, "We did this, but in the end we go back for rewards, back for office, back to honor the ancestors." From first to last he wanted amnesty, the court taking Liangshan in, everyone scrubbed clean, living again as proper men. Among the brothers, some agreed. Some raged. Li Kui cursed it. Wu Song went cold. Lu Zhishen said straight out, amnesty is the prelude to birds shot, dogs cooked. In plain words, once you're useful, they'll discard you. When Wu Song heard of amnesty, he told Song Jiang, "Today the 2 of us go, and we'll drag our brothers down to die here too." Cold words. True words. He smelled the ending. Lu Zhishen went further, heard the tide, sat down, and wouldn't walk those last steps. Li Kui didn't understand the twists of surrender. He only understood follow brother. Brother said drink, he drank. 3 reactions. 3 fates, the one who saw through, the one who walked away, the one who followed to the end. Water margin's cruelest stroke is writing the same loyalty into 3 different deaths. Why did Song Jiang have to seek amnesty? The book says loyalty to emperor and country, a name in history. He didn't want to die a thief forever. His clerk's bones still believed in normal order. The order wouldn't keep him, so he went to the mountain. Once the mountain grew strong, he thought, can we bring the brothers back inside? That thought, noble or naive, decides the tragedy of the second half. The surrender has its stages. Zhang Shai negotiates. Liangshan accepts. They campaign against the Liao. Then they campaign against Fong La. Against the Liao, they still looked glorious, most came home whole. Against Fong La, the book turns cruelest, 108 went out in formation. They came back dead, maimed, scattered. Fong La led rebels in the south, people who rose up, like Liangshan. The court amnestied Liangshan, then sent Liangshan to crush Fong La rebels, killing rebels, both sides bleeding, the throne collecting the profit. The Fong La campaign is written in detail, almost general by general sent to death. Zhang Shun died on an arrow at Yongjin Gate on a scouting swim. Dong Ping and Zhang Cheng, twin spears, twin stones, fell at Muzhou. Qin Ming, Suochao, companions of Great Blade Guansheng, one by one, names you knew vanish every few pages. Shi Naian doesn't spare ink or mercy here. He wants you to feel, amnesty isn't going home. It's handing your life back to the place that drove you to the mountain, then making you kill people who share your bitterness. Against Fong La, Wu Song lost an arm. Lu Zhishen sat down in Liuha Temple at the tide. Li Kui went with Song Jiang's poison cup. Song Jiang drank poison too. At the end, Song Jiang dreams of father and brothers. The emperor made him a loyal martial officer, built a temple, raised a stone. Readers don't feel warmth there. They feel cold. 108 gathered at Liangshan, acting for heaven, and those 4 characters' amnesty sent them one by one to the grave. Song Jiang was loyal to the throne and failed his brothers. He kept a name. He lost his life. Once Li Kui asked Song Jiang, "Brother, if we surrender and the court turns on us again, what then?" Song Jiang said, "Serve the country faithfully, no regret even in death." Li Kui said, "I'd rather go back to Liangshan and drink from big bowls." That dialogue lays 2 ways of living side by side. One says return to the system, even if the system takes your life at the end. One says stay outside, even if the system calls you thief. Water margin doesn't judge who wins. It walks both roads to the end. So the ending isn't like Red Chamber. Red Chamber ends on white earth, clean and empty, illusion burned away. Water margin ends in pain, 108 who burned hot, cooling one by one. It's not teaching you to rebel. It's not teaching you to surrender. It's asking, when a system turns people who only wanted to live into thieves, and thieves gather, where can they go? Song Jiang chose amnesty. He chose return. The system never meant to truly take them in. There's a song in the book, Full River Red, the Outlaws sing, "At heart we wish to pacify invaders and protect the people. Heaven sends down, let me walk as I will." Pacify and protect, that's acting for heaven. Let me walk, that's the freedom of gathering. Before amnesty, both lines were true. After amnesty, pacifying meant killing Fong La, and let me walk meant obeying military orders. The lyrics stayed. The meaning changed. That's not the author slipping. That's the age closing in. However big the stronghold, it can't outsize the court's chessboard. We're about halfway through tonight. While the room is still quiet, I'll ask a small favor. If this voice has kept you company, tap like, hit subscribe, like adding a little oil to the lamp in the dark. You don't need to open your eyes. 1 finger. Done and forgotten if you do it, no harm if you don't. All right. Let's keep walking. A few people worth holding in mind tonight. Lu Zhishen, flowery monk, 3 punches at the west gate, chaos on Mount Wutai, uprooting the willow, then hearing the tide at Liuha and sitting down. His life is understanding, from raw strength to hearing the tide and knowing today at last I know I am I. Lin Chong, after the snowy temple, grew quieter on the mountain. After Fong La he was paralyzed and died half a year later. The man who wanted normal life most died the quietest death. Wu Song, 1 arm gone, took the tonsure at Liuha and lived to 80, one of the few who survived. Whether those 80 years were empty or peace, the book doesn't say. That's for you. Yan Cheng shouldered gold and silver and walked away alone, not following Song Jiang all the way to surrender. The book leaves him a free road, as if Shi Naian whispered, "You don't all have to die on the character loyalty." Driven to Liangshan, 4 words that still aren't outdated. Not telling you which mountain to climb. Asking, when a person, a group, is boxed into a corner with nowhere to step back, what do they choose? Some endure, like Lin Chong, until the blade rises anyway. Some strike, like Wusong. Some gather, like Liangshan. Some return, like Song Jiang. No standard answer. Water margin just writes the choices out for you, all the way to the end, and none of them come out whole. Some call water margin a tragedy of men, loyalty, fists, wine, all broken on the word amnesty. But it isn't only men. Sun Ernyang Gu Deseo, who Sanyang women as bold as any man. Sun Ernyang ran a black inn at Cross Slope, calling Wusong brother alongside Zhang Cheng. Gu Deseo raided the jail to save Zhishen and Xiaobao. Hu Sanyang, 10-foot green, fought on horseback and made men of the Zhu village lower their heads. They aren't decoration. They show you, in that age, women picked up blades too, to guard home, to fight fate. Then Jin Suilian, Yen Poxy, Pan Jinlian, names with lotus and pity in them, fate's colder one than the next. Water margin writes women with heroism and with chill. Heroism in Sun Ernyang and her sisters. Chill in those dragged down and sold out by men. Listen tonight without picking sides. Just see, in this book, no one lives easy. What it writes, at bottom, is this: in an age that doesn't treat people as people, how can you still live like a person for a while, gathering, drinking, calling one another brother, even if only for those few years? It was real. Jean Shangtan called Water Margin a book of grievance and venom, grievance at the age, venom in the pen. He cut the book in half, kept 70 chapters, ending at Lu Jinyi's dream, unwilling to hand readers all the amnesty and Fong slaughter. So that ending has been argued from his day to ours. Hear the full story tonight and judge for yourself. Was Song Jiang wrong? Should Liangshan have surrendered? No standard answer. Only 108 faces floating past in lamplight, one by one. The opening question, we can answer it now. Was Lin Chong born a bandit? No. Gao Chou, Lu the bureaucrat, Dong Chao and Shueba, and a capital that had no room for him, they made the leopard head. What Water Margin wants you to remember isn't how glorious rebellion looks. It's how much it hurts when you can't live without it. And Song Jiang's amnesty shows you, even after you rebel and gather, if your heart still longs for the system that pushed you out, the ending often still belongs to the system. If tonight you feel life pressing in, work, relationships, rules closing on every side, Water Margin won't teach you which mountain to take. It will sit with you and walk through being pushed, first on the page. When the walk ends, you may find, what you can endure, you needn't endure forever. What you can say, you needn't swallow. What you can sleep, sleep tonight. Whatever pushes you, leave it for tomorrow. In this moment, you prove nothing. If I shrink Water Margin to one bedside line, it might be this: if the world were wide, who would go to the hills? If gathering lasted, who would surrender? 108, each with his own ache, each on his own road. In the end, none of them truly won. The story won, it stayed for centuries. The names won, they're still on people's lips. Tonight, remember a few scenes: blade light in the snowy temple, the wine bowl on Jingyang Ridge, acting for heaven in the hall, the tide herd in Liuha Temple. That's enough. Before sleep, a small question. Among the 108 Lin Chong who endured until the end, Wusong with iron fists, Lu Zhishen whose monk's heart opened, Song Jiang who wanted amnesty above all, who do you understand most? Who do you most want to tell good work you tried? Don't answer now. Tell me in the comments when you wake. I read every one. If you like nights like this, subscribe to the channel and tap the little bell. Next time, we'll read Mencius. Water margin is fists and loyalty on the rivers and lakes. Mencius is the vast upright breath inside the chest. Wealth can't seduce you, poverty can't move you. From Liangshan Marsh to Mencius's true man. Next night, we walk further inward. Let the lamp stay dim. Pull the blanket up. Liangshan's wine, the blood of the Fongla campaign, none of it is yours tonight. You don't have to fight for anyone, don't have to choose amnesty or defiance for anyone. Wusong's severed arm, the tide Lu Zhishen heard, leave them on the page. You don't have to hold anything. Close your eyes. That's all. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.